Charles Schwab's U.S. Dividend Equity ETF, ticker symbol SCHD. You know of it, your mother knows of it. Heck, every dividend investor I've ever encountered not only knows of this dividend ETF, but raves about it as if SCHD is the holy grail for all dividend investors. As for me, I'm not only not invested in this fund, but here to share with you why you might want to reconsider parking your hard-earned cash elsewhere. With that, are you ready? Now, I honestly just want to level with you all. I'm not here to say that SCHD is some terrible investment and you're gonna lose all your money should you remain invested into the fund. A matter of fact, SCHD has actually performed quite well, all things considered this past year. As we can click into the historical chart, we can see that year-to-date SCHD has ultimately performed quite well, currently up by over 10.2% on the year. And if we zoom out further to say the 5-year chart, even more greenery as the fund has soared by over 55%. And once more here in terms of the fund's history since its inception, a whopping 231+% worth of growth there, all while paying dividends and creating some very happy passive income investors all along the way. So then what gives? Why am I, one, here proudly sharing that I'm not a shareholder of this fund, and two, telling you that you yourself may want to rethink your option there with SCHD and invest your capital elsewhere, not in this dividend gem? Well, before I tap into the why and what of your next move or what you potentially should be doing, let's just first understand SCHD as a whole from the inside out. We're going to click into the fund's overview, which, as the objective states, pretty black and white here, the goal of the fund is to track as closely as possible for all the fees and the expenses the total return of the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index. Sounds good to me. Also, in just knowing that tracking the Dow really means more safety, which, depending on my risk tolerance as well as my age and investment timeline, is important to note. But more on that in a hot second, because I want to draw your attention to this second bullet here, where it says that the fund, SCHD, can serve as part of the core or complement a diversified portfolio. So let me get back on screen with you all now and just share that this is the time to actually reason with yourself on why you should not be 100% all in on the fund, as even the Schwab team advises against doing so. And it's really meant then to complement your portfolio, not dominate it. However, let's keep fishing around here because I want to tap into the fund's holdings with you to discover that Lockheed Martin, AbbVie, BlackRock, Coca-Cola, and Home Depot, as well as Cisco Systems, Amgen, Texas Instruments, and Bristol Myers, as well as Verizon, make up the top 10 holdings in the fund, while the vast majority of the fund's actual weight lies in financials at 17.3% of the fund's weight, followed by healthcare at 15.5%, consumer staples at 14.2%, industrials at 13.4%, in the energy sector making its way up there around 13% of the fund's weight, meaning we should all now have a pretty good understanding that SCHD is really there for the risk-adverse investor or the investor who really can't afford to rock the boat all that much, say if you're nearing or already in retirement. Now, if that is the case for you, it will be a gift then to receive a reliable dividend yield with SCHD coming in at 3.62% right now, which all works out to a very solid, consistent, and reliable performance record here. Just to note the fact that a $10,000 investment made into SCHD 10 years ago would have led you down the road of more than doubling your money, in which you'd now be sitting on $29,343 today. Not too shabby. And all for a rather low expense ratio of just 0.06%. That's just $6 per $10,000 invested annually. So at this point, you may actually be asking yourself, well, then what exactly is the issue with SCHD? Everything seems to check out, right? Wrong. At least from where I sit and how I see it, this quote-unquote dividend holy grail isn't a one-size-fits-all ETF. And like all investments, you should really be considering your age, which gives way to your investment timeline and just how risky you actually should be, because if you are younger, say in your 20s or 30s or even 40s, you can definitely afford to be a little bit more risky with your investment strategy. Now, obviously, I'm not sitting here talking about throwing all of your money into, say, Bitcoin or some meme stock opportunity, because I personally am not a total risk type of guy, but I simply want you all to understand that investing into SCHD or going all in on this fund just because every dividend investor out there has dubbed it the dividend ETF to own is also not a smooth move. If, of course, you fit the mold of the investor who has time and you can remain in the market, why am I saying all of this right now is just to say that you need to get your hands on more growth. With that being said, I want to go ahead and click back into a comparison chart here and compare SCHD to Vanguard's S&P 500 fund, ticker symbol VOO. Because over the last year, while SCHD was up by 10%, the S&P was almost double that. And over the last 5 years, the S&P was up by 89%, whereas SCHD only 55% worth of appreciation. And all time here, the real magic of the S&P is that we could see over 408% worth of appreciation. But say you want to keep it dividend specific, because I feel you there. You want to make sure that it's also growth oriented, again, depending on your timeline. Now, we could take a fund like Vanguard's Dividend Appreciation Fund, ticker symbol VIG, whereas you're going to climb by 55% there with SCHD on the year, as we saw, but VIG is going to come in hot on the 5-year with 62% worth of appreciation, and on max view, 291%. Now, this is all to say that, again, SCHD is not a terrible dividend ETF, but I'm just tired of seeing young investors who have money to invest, who are eager to win big, or at least bigger than they are, and they're in the dividend investing world who are just not getting the results that they deserve, all because they're focused on the dividend yield here with SCHD and what we call the holy grail. Investors, I'm just saying it like it is, at least in my opinion. Now, if you're focused on passive income, great. But ultimately, this game is about total return. And I've said that before, and I want to say it again, because at the end of our days, what are we really doing here as investors? Are we just trying to rake in passive income to write it off on some dividend chart in terms of monthly income? Or do we actually want to reach our financial goals? And if that's the case, then I implore each and every one of you to actually consider your age, investment timeline, and understand your risk tolerance to get invested into funds that are going to actually help you get to your goals and beyond much quicker. Now, you are all welcome to disagree with me or agree with me, but whatever that term comes out for you to be, comment down below with your thoughts, your honest opinions. Be as ruthless as you feel that you need to be. Change my opinion if you think I'm wrong. But heck, if you're looking for more dividend insights or stock ideas, click right here for more insights there. And of course, join me on this investing journey by subscribing.